I just think it's so funny how people say they're not racist, but they're literally mad about The Little Mermaid. Like, this was supposed to be like a fun and exciting time for like little black girls and people of color to see themselves in like the big screen, but people are turning it into a race thing. These are the same people that are like, oh, race doesn't matter. Not everything's about race, but they are the ones making it about race. Like, why are you mad that a fish is black? Like, in this case, race literally has nothing to do with the character. The most distinct thing about Ariel was literally her red hair. And people are forgetting this is Disney's live action. They do this with like all the characters. They don't make it look like cartoons. Even if they casted a white Ariel, they wouldn't have made her hair red. They would have probably kept it the same color as Hallie's color. Because in case y'all haven't seen actual redheads, their hair isn't actually like red. They're just making excuses being like, I just wish her hair was a little more red. It's like, please shut up. Like, if you hate it, like, don't go see the movie. But it's funny because those are the same people switching up. And it's the haters and the racists that are going to fill up the Little Mermaid theaters the most because they're going to be curious and see like, oh, you know what? This movie isn't even that bad. It's going to be entertaining anyways. Even if it wasn't like a Disney's like live action movie based on like the cartoon, like it's still interesting to like literally see a black mermaid with like talking, singing crabs and fish. Like, I don't know why people can't just be happy.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about the woke Little Mermaid. And the reason why is because the woke Little Mermaid and how this movie is being marketed and talked about in the mainstream liberal media, the narrative that is being pushed has officially come full circle. Because remember when the movie first came out over Memorial Day weekend, a 4-day weekend, a huge weekend for movies to be released, Hollywood and the liberal media were celebrating it because, again, this is a movie that had a race-swapped Little Mermaid main character. They turned a white woman into a black woman, okay? And they saw that the movie made over $100 million domestically, right? In the first weekend, or close to $100 million. And they started celebrating it, right? It was like, oh, this is such a massive success, right? As proof that, hey, people actually want to see this, that wokeness is profitable. Now, I came out with a video analyzing those numbers, and I said, no, these numbers are actually not great, okay? For domestic numbers, they're okay, but they were below expectations and projections. But the international numbers for this film were an absolute disaster, okay? There was a disaster, particularly in the Asian markets. Countries like China and South Korea just aren't feeling this film, right? And the numbers internationally are so bad that basically, I mean, Disney might be lucky to break even on this movie, okay? They're probably not going to make much profit at all off of this movie, despite the fact that it was hyped up, it was marketed heavily, okay? I mean, this was supposed to be a $1 billion movie, okay? It was supposed to make over $1 billion, just like Aladdin did, okay? And Aladdin is what this movie is being compared to the most because that was basically one of the last live action remakes that Disney did. It was released on Memorial Day weekend as well. And again, this movie, The Little Mermaid, is just not doing the international numbers that Aladdin did that allowed it to reach $1 billion at the box office, right? So now that the mainstream liberal media has seen the writing on the wall that this movie is not the success that they initially marketed it as, the narrative has come full circle, and they're trying to cry racism and say that, well, this movie is not successful because of racist, right? But they're not talking about the racist white supremacists in America, okay? No, they're actually accusing Chinese people, right? The people in the Asian markets who don't want to see this movie for whatever reason, they're saying that they're racist, right? Like, for example, look at this headline right here from the Hollywood Reporter. It says, hashtag The Little Mermaid tanks in both China and South Korea amid a racist backlash over the casting of Halle Bailey in the role of Ariel. And then you had a woke revolutionary quote tweet this saying, quote, hating black people while simultaneously basing so much of K-pop's sound and image on the cosplaying of blackness is actually wild business. Yeah, so I've seen a ton of these posts, okay, in which you have black people now upset saying that, look, China and, South Korea, they embrace black culture, right, or aspects of blackness, but they don't want to support a black film, right? They're pissed, okay? They're upset, okay? So, again, there's a lot of backlash on social media about this. A lot of people crying anti-blackness and racism in Asia for the reason that this movie is flopping. Take a look.
So this is a great example of why I always say there's no form of bigotry more pervasive, common, or influential than anti-blackness, right? Like you can be black and queer and receive anti-blackness from the queer community. You can be black and disabled and receive anti-blackness from the disabled community. I mean, shit, you could be black and receive anti-blackness from the black community, right? Like, look at this. This is so wild. It's not even like these people want Ariel to be Korean or Chinese or Asian in some capacity. They just don't want her to be black, right? Like that's how bad it is, right? That's how bad anti-blackness is. It's like, oh, you could be anything else. We just don't want you to be black. It's wild.
Yeah, so apparently you can be black and anti-black, right? Which calls into question, what is this guy's definition of being black, right? I mean, is this guy the arbiter of what it means to be black, right? It's just fascinating how these people try to have a monopoly over who's actually black and who's not black. It's amazing stuff. But there was an Asian person that did respond to this guy's TikTok with her explanation of why I guess the Asian markets don't necessarily like this movie or why they're not showing up to see this movie. And I want to go ahead and play that clip real quick.
Korean or Chinese or Asian in some capacity. They just don't want her to be black.
So this is the sixth time I saw this kind of video and criticized China and South Korea that the Little Mermaid movie did not do well in both countries is because the anti-blackness, which is not entirely true. For China's example, Black Panther had over 105 million box office in total in China, which is comparatively very good, not bad. For reference, Spider-Man Homecoming, I think it only make a slightly higher, about like 115 million box office in China. So if China is anti-blackness, then how come Black Panther still have over 105 million box office from China? And I've been going through, all the social media, not just from China, but also South Korea and Japan. So majority of the feedback, they're not like anti-blackness. So for example, if the Disney casts another actress, such as like Chinese actress or Korean actress or Japanese actress or, Southeast Asian actress or any, non-white actress to play Ariel, then we'll get the same response. Many people will get really mad about this casting choice because this casting choice is not fit with the animation figure. So it is not solely because of Hailey Bailey and black people. If then cast Ariel as any other race besides black and white, it will have the same criticize. And I'm pretty sure it will not do well in China and South Korea as well. According to all the comments I gather from Chinese social media, many people really looking forward to a really close live action similar to the anime version. Like they just really want a actress or a cast that is resemblance really similar to the Ariel from the 1989 Ariel animation. And many Chinese netizens who already watched the video, already watched the movie, also comment that since they're mad with Disney, then think Halle Bailey has a really great voice and singing skill, and it was such ways that Disney did not create new songs or new storyline, new character just for Halle Bailey. Because then think if Disney create a new character or a new storyline about Black Mermaid and new songs for her, that would be wonderful. Sometimes it's not just about anti-blackness. Here's another example. So the Aladdin actually did very well in China. And actually a lot of people go to watch Aladdin solely for Will Smith. Because many people love Will Smith. Without Will Smith in Aladdin, probably a lot of Chinese netizens won't even go to watch that movie. Of course, I'm not defending the fact that, I'm not saying that China did not have racism toward black people at all. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying that is sometimes it's not just anti-blackness. Sometimes some people just want a really close live action with the anime.
So you seen that, you heard that. Okay, I'm gonna expand on that in a little bit, but I want you guys to know it's not just Hollywood crime racism here. We also have CNN, right? CNN Business, they're crying racism as well too. Okay, claiming that that's the reason why people didn't go see this movie. Now, in China specifically, you have the Little Mermaid, which has only made 3.6 million since opening. Now, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has already made nearly $20 million in its first 5 days, right? Which has a lead black character. Okay. So again, it's just funny how that works. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is doing pretty well internationally compared to The Little Mermaid. Okay. And in China, and they're crying racism. They're saying that China is somehow anti-black, right? I guess now the explanation has to be, well, China is not just anti-black, they're anti-black women, right? Maybe they'll go that far. So they're not only racist, they're racist and sexist. They just hate black women. But back to what the Asian woman was saying, okay? I agree with her. And I don't want people to get it twisted what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that there's no racism in China or that they can't be anti-black. What I'm saying is that I agree with her in the sense that this movie is failing not because they're racist or anti-blackness. It's failing because they just don't like race swapping, period, right? They just don't like race swapping. And that in and of itself is not racist, okay, or anti-black. These people want to see a film, a live action remake that is as close to the animated version as possible. And that's not racist. That's not bigotry. That's just wanting to see a film that is close to what we knew and loved growing up, right? Again, I wanted to see a white Little Mermaid, right? Just like if there was, again, a Black Panther movie, another Black Panther movie, I want to see a Black Panther, right? Or I want to see a Black Blade, right? I want to see characters generally stay the original color in the skin that they are. I want them to look as close as possible to what they were in the animated version, right? And apparently in Asian markets, this is a big deal, right? This is a huge deal. If you're not sticking with the original story in regards to what the characters look like, their race, if you're trying to be overtly woke, okay, and you're race swapping, apparently they're not down with that. Even if you race swap the characters to be Asian, Chinese, Korean, or whatever, they still wouldn't see it because they don't want to watch it, right? And again, that's not racism. That's not anti-blackness. But again, this is why I try to tell you guys about the whole race conversation, racism, anti-blackness, or whatever. Anything that these people disagree with is racism, right? And this is why the term racist or the label racist doesn't mean anything anymore. Okay, because it now has become a label that is used to, again, smear anybody that disagrees with the left, right? If you're against race swapping characters, or race swapping out white characters, that is, then you're racist. But these are the same people who, again, would boohoo, whine, and cry. We know that they would be in tears if you race swapped Black Panther and made him white, right? If you made him the White Panther, they be losing their minds, right? Again, these are the same people that, again, got upset when they did not cast a Lilo and Stitch character, right, for the live action to be exactly like the animated version, right? They didn't think that, I guess, the woman was Hawaiian enough. She wasn't dark enough, right, to match the original character. It's amazing how that works. Race swapping is wrong when you erase a black character and you make them white or any other color, or they're not black enough. But race swapping is heroic and it's just, and you're racist if you're opposed to it when you are erasing white characters and making them black or whatever other color. Again, hypocrisy here is just absolutely amazing to me. But again, what you see here is exactly what happens every single time one of these Hollywood movies flop, right? Especially, again, the ones that are overtly woke and they flop. They say, well, the fans are racist, right? It didn't do well because, again, racism. It not because of the fact that, well, people want to see a film, okay, or a live action adaptation that is as close to the original as possible. No, it can't be that, right? It has to be because people are anti-black and that they're racist. And this is why, again, a lot of these Hollywood films, again, the ones that are overtly woke, like this one, this is why they flop. Because Hollywood does not have the ability to self-reflect and to say, you know what? People are not okay with this. Let's stick to trying to cast characters, if we're going to remake animated stories or whatever. Let's stick to the original as much as we can. Right? Let's make the characters look alike. Let's try to actually really make the animated version just like real life. That way, people don't have much to complain about. If the character had been white, there's no doubt in my mind that Disney probably would have made $1 billion on this film, right? They would have generated $1 billion in revenue. But because they decided to be woke, this film might not even break even. Who knows if it'll get 500 million, okay? We don't know. And the irony here is that if the movie would have flopped with a white lead character, nobody will be sitting here saying, well, the movie flopped because people are anti-white, right? Because of anti-whiteness, okay? Because of racism towards white people. People only say that when there are movies that have a lead black character and it doesn't do good. Well, it didn't do good because the movie wasn't a good movie. It didn't do good because people are racist. Again, nobody ever gives white-led movies that benefit of the doubt to say, well, maybe this movie didn't flop because it wasn't a good movie. Maybe it flopped because, people just hate whites. Nobody ever says that. I mean, you just sound dumb saying that. That's why nobody ever says that. And I think people sound just as dumb when they say that, well, a movie flopped because of anti-blackness rather than the fact that, well, maybe it's just not a good movie, or maybe it's just the fact that Hollywood didn't stick with the original plot or, designing the characters the way they originally look, which is what people want, right? That's what people want. So, hey, it is what it is. Like they say, go woke, go broke. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.